You ever look someone in the eyes, someone who's supposed to love you, and realize they'd rather see you fail than see you shine? My name's Lucas. I'm 34 years old, a single dad of two incredible kids. And for the better part of my life, I've played second fiddle to my dad's golden boy, my older brother, Trevor. Growing up, our house wasn't divided. It was a monarchy, and Trevor was the crown prince. My dad made sure of it. Trevor was 3 years older than me, but you would have thought he had hung the moon the way my dad talked about him. Every report card, every little league game, every half-decent thing Trevor did was treated like some historic achievement. Meanwhile, if I got an A, it was, why wasn't it an A+? If I scored a goal, it was, Trevor scored too when he was your age. I learned early on that nothing I did would ever measure up. My mom tried, at least in the beginning. She'd sneak little praises when Dad wasn't around. "You did great, Lucas," she'd whisper after a game or a school play. But over time, even she got quiet. Living in a house where one opinion ruled, everything had a way of wearing people down. By the time I turned 16, I stopped trying to impress my dad altogether. Trevor, of course, thrived in it. He soaked up the attention like sunlight. He walked through life with the quiet confidence of someone who had never been told he was wrong. But here's the thing about golden children. Sometimes they shine because someone else is forced to stand in the shadows. When Trevor left for college, the house felt strange, not peaceful, just empty. My dad still talked about him constantly, like he was some war hero stationed overseas instead of a business major 2 states away. Trevor got an internship, Dad would say at dinner. Trevor made the dean's list again. Trevor this, Trevor that. I'd sit there pushing food around my plate, wondering if he even remembered he had another son sitting right in front of him. Then life happened. I graduated, got a steady job working maintenance for a commercial building company, and eventually met Sarah. Sarah was the first person who ever made me feel like I mattered. She didn't see me as Trevor's younger brother. She saw me as Lucas. We got married when I was 25. 2 years later, our daughter Emma was born. And 3 years after that came my son, Noah. Those kids changed everything. For the first time in my life, I wasn't living for my dad's approval or my brother's shadow. I was living for them. But life doesn't always stay simple. When Emma was 6 and Noah had just turned 3, Sarah got sick. At first, it was just headaches and fatigue. Then doctor visits. Then tests. Then the kind of silence in a hospital room that tells you everything before the doctor even opens their mouth. Brain tumor. Stage 4. I won't drag you through the next year in detail. Anyone who's watched someone they love slowly fade knows what that road looks like. By the time Sarah passed, I was 31 years old, with 2 small kids and a hole in my chest that felt like it would never close. And that's when my dad and Trevor suddenly decided to reappear in my life. Not out of love, not out of concern, but because, apparently, my struggle had finally made me interesting enough to notice. The first thing my dad said when he came over after the funeral was, "Well, Lucas, I guess this is what happens when people make bad life choices." I remember staring at him, waiting for the punchline. There wasn't one. Trevor just leaned against the wall, arms crossed, wearing that same smug half-smile he'd had his entire life. And that was the moment something inside me finally snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly. Because after 34 years of living in someone else's shadow, I realized something important. I didn't need their approval anymore. I had 2 kids who looked at me like I was their whole world. And that was more than enough. But what my dad and Trevor didn't realize was that the real story was just getting started.